sorry. I'm already. Uh-oh. Hey.
All right. I'm just going to put myself on camera first. But anyways, I just want to say good evening, everybody. We're going to do a controversial little topic today about trans community, trans agenda, big pharma. How do these things relate, come together? And we're going to be talking it up and chopping it up by looking at a video, doing a reaction with myself and the beautiful Miss Sophia. And we're
Oh,
going to be
thank
looking
you.
at, yes, of course. Of course. Why, of course. So we're going to do a little reaction videos on gays against groomers. But before we do that, how you doing?
Hey, y'all. I'm doing good. I hope you guys can see. I finally got a better camera. Thanks to Scott.
Yay!
So
Santa Claus has come to town.
make it look a little more professional.
All
And
right.
other than that, I've been doing good. Just had some, some school, back to school stuff. And I got in a little trouble today. And I think I made a post about it earlier. I literally forgot to pay my registration. Like I totally missed it. And I did actually find the letter that I got, but it was buried under all my other bills. So I don't know. I just missed it. It's never happened before, but
How'd
shit
you find
happens.
out? How'd you find
Huh?
that shit out?
Well, I was driving my daughter to school, and I got pulled over in the school zone. I was like, okay, what the hell could I have possibly done wrong? But I was real friendly or whatever, and I was like, what did I do? And he was like, yeah, ma'am, your registration is expired. And I'm like, what? Are you serious? Because I don't look at my own sticker, you know what I'm saying? So I really didn't realize. And but he was so cool. He was like really laid back. He told my daughter, oh, you ready for school? And da 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 da. And he was like, you're good. He ran my insurance. He saw that was good and everything. And he told me, look, I'm gonna just give you a warning, but take care of that. So I've been walking everywhere today, and I picked her up walking and everything because I'm not gonna risk that. So he was really cool. So that's how racist that white cop was.
Yeah, man. That was wrong. We got to do something about all this
I know,
racism
right?
out here. Man, you're lucky to be alive right now.
Yeah, I know. I could have look, Scott. I could have got shot.
That's
Okay.
right. You almost did. You almost did. If it wasn't for
Well,
you saying something about going to school.
and I know it's my daughter. She saved me. It's
Mhm.
because it was because she was in the backseat. It had to be it because come on.
Yeah, he was like, shit, go ahead, man.
Yep.
Terrible, terrible. But I'm glad you came out alive. I'm glad you're going to get that straight and everything's set and your kids are going to school. And that's
Yeah.
awesome, man. The summer has finally ended. You're going to get a little peace of mind,
Oh yeah.
get to
It's
chill
cooling
out a
off a
little
little.
bit,
It's
cooling
cooling
off.
off. Yeah, just a little bit. We got some rain today, so that was really awesome. I've been waiting for some damn rain, man. I was
Oh,
doing the
yeah.
rain dance.
Damn. See, it's been raining too much down here. It's in that season where it's just, and Florida's like, that sun will be hitting you hard and then it'll start raining for like 5 minutes. And then, it's like a little thing to cool you down for like 10 minutes.
Y'all got that tropical rain, and then it heats up afterwards and gets all humid.
Yeah. And yeah, it's at night, the steam starts blowing up off the
Oh
streets
yeah,
and stuff.
I
Yeah,
remember
it's
that from New
crazy.
Orleans. Yep,
Mm-hmm. That's
not
how it
missing that.
is.
Not missing that.
Yeah. 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 I know you can't take that with your sinuses and
Mm-mm.
it ain't
See,
nothing to play with.
I'm sniffing right now, man. It always starts
Wow.
like in the evening time,
Mm-hmm.
but we be all right.
Okay.
We gonna wing it. We gonna wing
Yeah. We're gonna do it, man.
it.
All
Yeah.
right. Well, we're gonna check this video out here on gays against groomers. And I think they're gonna be talking to the founder of Drag Queens for Kids, Puberty Blockers, and Woke Teachers. Not talk with them, but about them. drag
Yeah.
queens for kids, and all of that stuff. So big shout outs to the channel here, the Blair White Project. So like and subscribe with them. Also like and subscribe our channel, because we're always having new topics every week, and we're chopping it up and hopefully having a lot of fun with you guys out here. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and add this to the screen, and we're going to get this party started. So let's check it out.
Hey guys, this video is sponsored by It Will. Make sure you guys download the app, follow me, and talk to me on there. Hey guys, welcome back to the Blair White Project, episode 12, I believe. It's hard to believe it's been this many episodes. Oh my gosh. It's been so many amazing guests so far. And today I'm super excited to have Jamie, who is the founder of Gays Against Groomers. And I came across this movement a few weeks ago, and I didn't realize I had met you before. I didn't know who was running it and who started it. Right. And I was like, wait, I know her. I did a speaking event with you like last year back in September, and you were super cool. So I was like, oh, I got to jump on board and support this movement. So for people who don't know, introduce yourself, and what is Gays Against Groomers, and why did you start it?
Definitely. Well, thanks so much for having me. Yeah, we met once. I believe that was the only time we've crossed paths. I've been doing this online personality influencer. I hate that word, but I've been doing it for like 6 years as the Gay Who Strayed on Instagram. And I've built up a following of about 250,000 followers. And, you know, as I'm seeing this happening more and more every day, these videos of the drag queens with the kids and, you know, the trans ideology and indoctrination in schools and media and everywhere you look.
Where were you on March 9th, 2022, when President Biden signed the death warrant?
Damn.
I just wanted to use my platform to try and push back against it from within the community. So I created Gays Against Groomers on June 6th. We're less than 2 months old, and it's grown to about 150,000 followers so far on Instagram, Twitter, and those are our main platforms right now. Yeah, so we've hit the ground running, and you know, we've already been suspended twice from Twitter. We've had 2 or 3 articles written about us by Media Matters, so they're scared of us. They should be.
Wow. So that's kind of ironic, you know, that, you know, someone who's against groomers, who happens to be like part of the community, so to speak, I guess, literally, is being, you know, hated on. And cancel culture, man, you got to love it, Sophia.
Yeah, it's so ironic because first of all, I really think this is awesome what they're doing, because we need people from the LGBT community to speak out against it, because we as straight people, we're just going to be called homophobes. So that's the first thing. So I really think that's really great that the LGBT community is standing up and speaking out against that. For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And because they're, you know, that's how people who hijack the language control the narrative and control people's thinking, essentially, because you know, you can't say certain words, or you can't have an opinion against certain things or question certain things. And you know me, I'm a big skeptic, so I love questioning everything. And just no matter, it's like the more people are for stuff, that's the more skeptical I am. In fact, you know, one of the things that I think people should adopt is to question their own beliefs. Like if you know, question your own cognitive loops, because we get in these loops of, well, if this is true, then this could be true, and if that could be true, then this could be true. And before you know it, you're like 3 steps away from the initial question: is it true? You haven't even established that part. You know, is grooming a thing? You know, well, if it isn't true, maybe it's because they're trying to have a conspiracy against the trans community. And if they're doing that, it's because they're trying to discriminate and create and make us go back in time and blah, blah, blah. And it just, you know, it just kind of reinforces that cognitive dissonance, instead of just going to step one and saying, first of all, is this true? And how do we go about that? So I love the fact that we're doing this show so we can actually discuss it openly, and hopefully join in the conversation. If you stumble upon this, or if you join in and to watch it in the live chat, I've got the link to jump into the conversation. Just click the link and we'll let you in and we'll discuss it if you have any questions or pushback on us. So anyways, I'm going to try to move forward into the conversation because it is a long video, right? So
yeah, it's long. In the beginning, they mention how the CD has actually put out
a little technical difficulty going on. Sophia, go ahead and repeat that.
yeah, man. Shit.
Yeah.
Got one thing taken care of, and here comes this. Okay. What was I saying? Oh yeah. In the beginning part, since we're gonna skip past that, they're just gonna mention how the CDC actually put out a statement about these purity blockers, and it's basically saying that it causes side effects such as some kind of swelling of the brain and something else. And
Well, let's hear that. That sounds kind of important to establish. Let's see if what they have to say about that and if they have a way to back that up. So let me hear it.
And yeah, we're hoping to really make change.
Yeah, I think what's so crazy is that even just a few years ago, I would never imagine like that this conversation would even be happening, that there were, forces, in my opinion, and you can tell me how you feel about this. I believe that the LGBT community for so long has been sort of conditioned to always double down, right? And that's been a survival mechanism because, throughout the decades and throughout time, there have been legitimate grievances for our community, legitimate violence, acted against us and real problems that we needed to fix, right? And so the only way to kind of get through those, we always kind of had to double down. Like, we're not giving you an inch, our community, to the outside world because they won't give us a centimeter type of thing. But
Right.
now I feel like we've reached this sort of peak where gay marriage is legal. I can't think of any rights that trans people don't have. And it's becoming, in some ways, this infighting within the community, which is very like gross. Not to say I don't sometimes partake in it. I think we all do. But and then also, like, I think that there are people with very nefarious intentions latching onto the community and observing, the fact that we double down so much and saying, well, we can use this energy to sort of enact what we want. And that's how you get these people latching on. And, I think that the fact that there is a movement within the community is amazing, because when you look at the outside, like the straight or the, cishet, stupid words, community, I don't think they can speak against it with the effectiveness that we can from within. And that's what I've always said. Yeah.
Exactly. That's one of the main reasons that I wanted to create the group, is because, I see we've all been speaking out against it individually for as long as we've been seeing it happen. We're, that's just all, everybody within Gays Against Groomers themselves and just all over the place, all the people within the LGBT community that are against it have been speaking out, but we never had a unified front to really put our voices behind. And, you see that straight people and parents, they talk out about it. And thank God they are, but they're instantly written off as hateful and bigoted many times. So they're shut down right away, and their voices won't get as far as I think ours will, because they're going to have a much harder time doing that to us. They've tried. They call us transphobic. They call us homophobic. I don't really understand how they can make that connection,
really
but
good
they
point.
try.
Yeah,
But I
I'm
think
not sure
so
how
stupid.
a trans person can be transphobic. Or are you a lesbian? Are you bisexual? What's your... Okay, yeah. How can a lesbian be homophobic? I mean, it's ridiculous, needless to say. But who are the people that are within the movement? I know Ariel Scarcella is part of it.
Ariel, Mike Carlo. We have Conservative Ant. Oh gosh, there's a lot. Matt Ray, Buck Angel. He goes by Grand Old Evan. We have like 30 people in this group chat that we're all talking constantly and creating content. And it's growing every day. I mean, it started with like 8 of us, I think. And I've just been asking people like, I know you align with this. You want to put your voice behind it too.
So, what would you say are the main goals of the movement? Because obviously, you guys are against the sort of predatory behavior that's coming in to the community, but what are the sort of like ground level, like, this is what we have to do to put a stop to it?
Yeah, for sure. So our mission, we say, is twofold. Like, it's obviously to protect children, and we have a lot of plans to do that. And it's also to reclaim our name and community from these radicals who have completely infiltrated it and destroyed it. So yeah, for plans of action, we plan to make chapters in every state in the country, as well as many Western nations around the world. We've had submissions, people submitting to be chapter leaders in 24 states so far, and in Canada, the UK, and Australia. We want to endorse candidates, especially running for school board.
That's great.
We want to protest. We just want to show up and have our presence at any event with drag queens and kids. School board meetings we want to get involved in. And between all of that, and we're also going to have we want to have rallies and marches across the country.
Okay, so she's saying her main goal is to, I
Protect
think I missed,
children.
protect the children, and then the second one was to show that they're not part of that whole
Right, because they've
culture.
infiltrated the movement, and so now they're all lumped in with those radicals.
Who would be against protecting children?
That's the thing, man. It's ridiculous.
Like, why just because you want to protect children, we're called bigots? I don't understand. I don't get it.
Yeah, just today on The View, I think it was on The View, that show with the liberal chicks.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the lady's name, but one of those chicks on that show invited your governor to be on the show, and he declined. But yeah, that lady just busted out of nowhere and said she never saw any children die from being exposed to a drag queen. Now, that's not the point, is it?
Mm-mm.
You know, like, that's not the claim that anybody makes, that if you look at a drag queen, you're going to drop dead. That's not the point. You know, like, these people, I don't like, really.
Is that the best argument they have?
I know.
Like,
what kind of argument is that? Like, nobody said that.
that's like a straw man argument.
Exactly.
I don't know. I could see, this is where, I don't know, you would think that as much as many on the far left are against violence towards people in general, that they would be all for protecting children. So maybe their point is that maybe using terms like groomers is maybe derogatory against a community or whatever, but it seems like if you use a term that for the protection of kids and you want to stop that term, then you're actually protecting pedophiles and you're protecting the bad guy, right? Does that make sense?
Yep. And
I don't know.
Not,
that's just the way I see it. I don't know.
I mean, at the end of the day, we have to go by the definition of what grooming is. And so if the shoe fits, then the shoe fits. And nobody's saying it's the whole entire LGBT community. And that's exactly what her point is. There's just these radicals who are promoting this, and our administration, our current administration, is backing this up, and they're going to talk about this too.
Okay. Well, let's hear it out. I'm going to go ahead and skip over to, because we only got 1 minute left on that. But why are the LGBT people so silent about predators? That's something I'm kind of interested in. So let's jump back into that.
They want to just be seen as good people. They want to be seen as accepting and tolerant and loving. And so,
and there goes the ad.
Yeah. Capitalists.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I can't make you straight.
Wrong with them.
you have like the average gay person who their knowledge of trans people, they assume it's something very similar. And they think, yes, I knew I was gay when I was 10. So a trans person can know they're trans when they're 10. And medicalization, sure, it should be okay. Doctors say it's okay. They don't know the actual facts. When you actually sit them down and tell them, actually it means that the child is sterilized for life. Actually it means their body parts will be missing. And actually there's a high turnover rate for like these kids who are regretting it. That's when they come around. So I think it's about educating people within the community as well, because I think, like I said earlier, we're just so trained to like always defend the community that we have this blind spot, not you or I, but the community as a whole has this blind spot of like defending things that really are indefensible. So it's like about just educating them. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that that's a huge part of it. You know, I actually had somebody that was in our Twitter space. We do these Twitter spaces 2 or 3 times a week. And somebody was saying how it was a straight person, but one of their best friends or their best friend is gay, and he's a gay dad. And, you know, he had no idea that any of this stuff was going on. You know, people just, people don't really know, you know, not everybody is tuned in like we are and just hyper focused on this stuff. A lot of people are just living their lives and they don't understand what's being done within the community now. So yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty easy to break down. You just show them, and you know, instantly, of course, they're going to be shocked and want to push back against it. Like they're going to oppose it. That's why, you know, I always say that the people that are actually doing this within our community and pushing this agenda on kids, I believe that they're a very small minority within our community, but they're so loud because they have the backing of woke media and corporations and even the government now with Rachel Levine coming out and saying that, you know, gender affirming care for kids is life-saving when the opposite is true.
And Joe Biden himself. And now you have the FDA coming out and saying, well, actually, these medications can cause brain swelling, can cause vision loss in children. So it's like, I don't understand why there's never any correction. Like, Joe Biden should be feeling like such a moron. I mean, I don't know what he's feeling, if he's feeling anything, to be honest. But, you know, I don't know how you come, you know, and support these things in public and then more information comes out.
Come on, man.
But let's break it down to like the few things that we both know are the biggest threat.
Yeah. So
I
obviously
agree.
politics always plays a role.
But I also agree that the LGBT community seems to be so silent about it because, like she said, a lot of people are just living their lives. They're not even concerned about these things and probably don't even know half the stuff that's really going on, except those of us who are really invested in this. And like she said, it's a small minority of people that's pushing this agenda, and it's obviously political and other things. But yeah, I agree. I definitely agree.
I noticed that in regular forums that I'm part of, if I start talking about this topic or posting any sort of, either way, any kind of post about it, most people just don't respond to it. I don't get any kind of feedback one way or the other. But
I get a lot. I get some straight up haters. And
well, what I get, I get a lot of that only when I post in places like you know, certain, I don't know if I should say what they are, but
where there's a lot of liberals.
yes, a lot of far, and I don't even like call, you know what? I don't even like to call, I don't even want to give them that credit. I don't even call them liberals. I call them far left.
They're Marxists.
Marxists, yeah, communists or Marxists. You know, I don't even know if communist is right because that's more of an economic thing. But
they've been uprooting societal norms to, I guess, cause chaos, and then everybody's going to ask for the solution type of thing. They like to just uproot things like what's normal.
Right. Because see, here's the thing. I was just looking at something, some conservative video yesterday with my dad. Me and my dad, we used to like George Carlin a lot. We used to watch his stuff. You know, comedian. I don't know if you know who he is, but my dad is, you know, we were looking at it. My dad says, yeah, this says it's perfectly, man. And he turned on this video for me where this conservative guy was like showing how, you know, George Carlin said he loved to go, he got out of the mainstream comedy circuit where he had to wear like a suit and tie and be really clean and not say certain words and this and that because it was very conservative, you know, in that way, socially conservative. And so he went ahead and said, you know what, I'm going to let my hair down. I'm going to wear black t-shirts and jeans, and I'm going to go to the colleges because at least in the colleges you have liberals, and the liberals are more open-minded. They like to explore and experiment with new ideas and new things, and you can say what you want. And that's where he thrived and kind of built his platform. And the guy was saying, "What if you look now? You can't go to a college campus and talk about hardly anything without being protested and shut down and
Yeah,
canceled out. And that's your new quote unquote liberal." And and I agree with the guy. He was saying, I wouldn't even want to call them liberals anymore. Like
yeah. How
liberals
is
is
that
not, yeah, it's not liberal at all. Liberal means freedom.
right? That's nothing liberal about it. And yeah, like you said, they hijack that.
They
You
hijack that term,
they
screw
hijack every
them.
they hijack everything and then just insert themselves into it, and
Yeah.
it's not even what it's meant to be anymore.
Yeah. It's crazy, man.
And the thing
But
about
there's,
it is,
mhm.
I was just gonna say the thing about it is, like she said, it's the reason people have problems with this whole thing is because it's harming children, obviously, and even some adults, that make the decision to transition and get the operations and things. And the problem is, though, should it be regulated? They always say, well, if I'm an adult and if I want to do that to my own body, then I can do what I want. But I mean, as a society, like, should we just let people do stuff with, well, at least inform them of what can happen, and
Mhm.
let's stop hiding the actual, side effects of this whole thing. And what works for one person doesn't work for all. That's another thing I don't like about the far left. When they come up with their little solutions, it's supposed to be for everybody, and it doesn't matter. It's good for everybody, and everybody's going to do it, even if we have to get the federal government to enforce it. And I'm like, first of all, what's good for one person may not be good for another person. Like, abortion may be something that is good for white leftist women, but it's really not good for the Black community. So,
Mhm.
like, why are we pushing this on everybody? Like, there's no, like, compromise with these people. They act like terrorists. Like, I don't know, like terrorists or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, I agree with you. This absolutist sort of mentality, anytime you go into an absolutist sort of ideology, you're basically arguing for an absurdity, because anything that's absolute is, number one, unrealistic. That's not the world we live in.
Right.
It's not black and white. Everything is grays and different shades of it. And so anyone who can't get with that, they're just not trying, again, the thing about politics that always turned me off is, like, the thing about politics really isn't based in facts. That's the problem. A lot of people think if you could just show them the facts, if you could just show them these facts, they would change their mind. It ain't about facts. It's about what people's feelings are and what their values are. And some people have fucked up values, man.
Yeah.
And they're not trying to hear facts that go against that or somehow contradict that. They ain't trying to hear that. They just want to know, look, I'm for this. This is fucked up. And when you show me these facts, you're trying to persuade me against what I already feel in my heart is right. And I don't need facts. All I need to know is what my feelings are. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
and that's the problem. People are immune to facts, especially on the far left. That's just my opinion. They're very
Yeah.
immune to the facts, you know.
Yeah, I agree. And you just, at one point, you just have to ask yourself, why are they doing this? Like, why do we not care about kids anymore? Why are we giving kids, I think it's called Lupron, why are we giving them the same thing that you would give a pedophile to basically chemically castrate them? Why are we doing this to kids?
Mm.
Or why are we not telling people the truth about the infections that transgender women experience when they have the operation? Infections that won't go away. A lot of times they have to come back several times and
Hmm.
get additional surgeries to fix the first problem, and then go back again and go back again. I mean, they get multiple surgeries a lot of times and it still doesn't fix the problem. They lose all, like, sensation down there and can no longer have sex and all that kind of stuff. So you say it's life saving, but what about that type of stuff? Like, why are we not bringing that stuff up? Like, it makes you wonder, are they being used as guinea pigs and being experimented on, or Is it because of profit and big pharma? Like, what's really going on? Like, why are they doing this and pushing so hard for it? You know what I mean?
Well, you know, the evidence is, if you remember, when that one politician who was actually he was a conservative Republican, and he once wrapped up like a long trial against the pharmaceutical giant Johnson and Johnson, and he
Mhm.
had shed, new light on the extent to which the pharmaceutical industry's complicity was in driving the U.S. opioid crisis forward, which had claimed at the time more than 400,000 lives, right? And
Mhm.
he actually accused the company of a cunning, cynical, and deceitful scheme to sell narcotic painkillers, um, you know, which was actually destroying people. And they were
Yeah.
making it so easy for them to get it. And my mom was part of that. She had got addicted to it and had bad side effects and all kinds of problems and had to get away from it. But she was part of that opioid addiction that
Yeah.
they pushed on her.
I had two friends who went through that, and they both passed away, and both
Wow.
were overdoses.
Sorry to hear that. But I mean, that's just evidence right there that it is possible that big pharma is in the business of pushing dangerous procedures, drugs, what have you,
Mm-hmm.
just to make a profit. And that's
And they
pretty
don't
much.
they don't care who they kill in the process. Obviously, even
Mm-mm.
and now it's even down to children. I mean, everything has changed. Like even new movies. Like just an example, like you know how when back in the day, like let's say the movie It, the original
Mm-hmm.
movie, and Georgie encounters the clown, right? And
Mm-hmm.
they directly show how Georgie gets taken by it and dies, right? But in the new movie, it literally shows how Georgie's arm is being ripped off and there's blood everywhere. And it's like people are so desensitized now that they just show everything. There's movies now where the rape and victimization of children is like literally being shown. But
Right.
whereas before you could allude to it, but you wouldn't actually show it on the screen. You know what I'm saying?
Correct. Correct.
It's just shit like that, and it outrages me. I really I get very passionate and mad about this type of stuff because I mean
But
I'm a mom.
here's the power you have as a mom. And this is where freedom comes in and where we have to be careful, because a lot of people on the both, like the right and the left, will see things like that. Bad movies, big pharma, things that all of this stuff is just capitalism in work. Capitalism is all about the bottom line. It's all about making the most profits and how you can do it, right? That's all capitalism is. It's not a worldview, it's not a philosophy, it's not a value judgment. All it is the rules of the game, and what the game, and it describes what the game is, which is basically an economic system of supply and demand. If they demand it, we supply it. That's the rule of capitalism. Now, where the human side has to come in is we have to pretty much regulate ourselves and say, I'm not going to sell, for example, heroin on the street, because I have values in myself that won't allow me to do that, even though I could make a lot of money.
Well,
Right? And
I would
companies
say
can do the same, should do the same thing.
I would say
But
it's not it's
problem. Mhm.
I would say it's not necessarily just because of values, but let's think about it. If you flood your own hood or your own neighborhood or whatever with heroin, then that's going to affect you negatively too, you know, or
Yes.
you know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
it's just about like how do we function as a society or as a community? And if my community has all this negative stuff in it, then that's going to affect me. That's going to affect my kids. That's going to affect your kids. You know,
Mhm.
it's you can't just only see things from your own viewpoint. You got to also
Mhm.
see how it affects others around you.
Right. And see, this is the thing though, is a lot of people don't want to see how it affects other. They're only concerned with themselves. There's a lot of selfish people out here that all they care about is their little time on earth and their little situation that needs to be solved. And so if it
Yep.
means killing a bunch of people in the process, Well, see, this is the psychology of a criminal, and this is what
And
the
a
criminal
narcissist.
and a narcissist and all
Yeah.
that. That's what a lot of companies fall into. Is, you know, these companies, and they act like a machine. So it's not just one person, it's a bunch of people. Their goal is to do whatever they have to keep their little job and keep their little department going, which means they have to show profits, which means they have to meet numbers. Everybody's chasing a number. And as long as all you're doing is chasing a number, but there's no values behind it, no humanity behind it, it's always going to lead to some kind of corruption and things of that nature, in my opinion. And we see that now. Not always. There's some people that know how to self-regulate and stuff like that, and a lot of far left people will observe this too, and they're like, well, this is why we need the government to step in and be the referee and stop people from getting out of control and hurting the community. It's the government's responsibility. At the end of the day, though,
I don't know,
it's
man. Like, I
I
don't
don't
know.
know.
I
I
think
don't know.
a lot of times when I talk to these so-called liberals who are on the far left, they really sound like some rich ass people who live in a bubble, who don't even really know what the hell is going on out here, or at least they listen to the rich liberals who could give a shit less about the people. Let's keep it real, because I mean, the stuff they say, it's like they don't even care how it affects you, or how, like, I have this argument a lot of times with these people, for instance, about how Black people kill their own babies at a much higher rate. You know, well, let me say abort, because then I'm going to be told, oh, it's not babies, it's just a lump of souls. Shit. But, you know, I tell them all the time, like, that doesn't affect us positively, that affects us negatively, because what we should be doing is focus on the root cause. That's like, I'm the person, I want to get to the bottom of it. What's causing us to have all these unwanted pregnancies in the first place? You know what I mean? Let's start there. But no, y'all want us to have a Planned Parenthood on every corner, and y'all want us to just keep being irresponsible and just keep getting rid of our offspring. You know, so that seems racist to me. I don't know. Like, it is.
Yeah. It does seem that. I mean, at least it plays out that way,
But
obviously.
when you express your concerns to these far left people, they don't care about your concerns at all. Like, regardless of what type of topic it is, your concerns don't matter. Like, when you're talking to a trans woman and you tell her about your concerns, 9 times out of 10, your concerns don't matter. You know what I'm saying? It don't matter if you have a problem with me being in your restroom. It don't matter if I want to get in the pool butt ass naked. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't care what type of concerns anybody has. And that's ridiculous. Like, man, I can't stand for that. I can't stand for
Yeah, I feel you, man. It's ridiculous. And yeah, I understand totally. I mean, they want to pretty much stifle your rights in favor of their own. That's the selfishness I'm talking about. And these companies are no different. These companies, they just want to make a profit. They want to be number one, and that's all that's important. But you know, at the power that we have as parents, though, is we can actually censor our own children. We can, at least we can try as much as possible. You definitely can't depend on the government, because the government is only going to support what's politically popular, and people are going to support what's politically popular because they get virtue points that way. And so you have to kind of take the ball in your own hand and protect yourself and yours by censoring yourself and censoring your own family and taking the lead, you know, on that situation, and not waiting for Uncle Sam to kind of take the lead for you. But we're going to get back into, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say that, see, that's also like a conundrum, because this stuff is in everything now. It's in Disney. It's in regular cartoons. I mean, SpongeBob pulls his pants down all the time. And, you know, there's a gay cloud flying around in the sky. And it's like, it's just everywhere. And I don't care about people who want to be gay or lesbian or whatever, but it's just so overly saturated with this stuff. And it's everywhere you go, everywhere you look. It's almost like being straight is not normal anymore, or being straight is not okay anymore. And now you feel inadequate if you're not somehow in part of the LGBT community in some form or fashion. And I'm like, it's just, how do you get away from that? And then it's in schools, like it's everywhere. It's just everywhere.
Well, thank Thor for people like us, and thank
So,
Thor for people like them who actually are showing that there's another side, there's an alternative view, and
well,
that they
the
have to
best.
contend with.
Go ahead.
And
It
we
was
got to
lacking.
vote. We got to vote, man. We got to vote our conscience, and we got to vote for what we know is right. And we just got to keep fighting, man. It's like you said, it's saturating all of, especially the entertainment industry.
Yeah,
You
but
know?
see, I want to believe that our votes mean something, but then the way that went down the last time, I don't know, man. Like, is that even still good? Is that even still good enough? Like,
Well, it starts here because again, even if it's true that there's a lot of corruption, and and it's very possible that voting machines are hacked into. And I saw a special on that kind of demonstrated how that is actually true, that voting machines are being hacked and they're being I've got to show you that video. We got to do a reaction on that video one day.
I've seen some stuff about that too, and my whole thing is, to me it's obvious. I mean, I know
yes, it's obvious.
I know they're gonna argue me down and say it ain't true, but I mean, look at this shit. Just recently, they're rating Trump's Mar-a-Lago, whatever, however you say that, and his old residence or whatever. And then you got Joe Biden's son, fucking crackhead.
We said at the same time.
And nobody bats a fucking eye, like no FBI, no nothing, you know what I'm saying? Like, but what? Like, hell no. Like, what the hell? If they can do this to if they can do this to Trump, we should be fucking worried. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
That
I
means
mean they've been doing it to every. I mean they've always
they
been
can
able
do
to do that. Yeah, and see that's the thing is that we just have to start from the ground up, man. Just like these leftists have taken over, these far left people, make no doubt about it. These motherfuckers are weak ass little softies, but guess what? They strong as hell. They taking over. They strong as hell right now.
well,
They are winning. They're
they
winning.
may be weak when it comes to sensitivity in their emotions, but let's not fool ourselves.
That's what I'm saying.
They're very fucking violent.
That's what I'm saying. They're very violent. They're very narcissistic.
Yeah, they want to ruin your life, get you fired. They don't give a fuck.
And I'm not saying the far left isn't the same way. Far left actually commits more terrorist acts domestically and all of that too. But the thing is that somewhere where we stand, like we're people that I feel like we're kind of in the middle. We're just kind of the rational voice of reason here. So we need to really take over. And the only way we're going to take over is by changing the culture. And the way we change the culture is through the entertainment, through the YouTube platforms, through the social media, through the music. We have to push the messages that the people can get with, or try to get them to it somehow. It's got to make sense to them, and it's got to change hearts and change minds. But it's an uphill battle because what's all involved in it. Money. People respond to money, and if they can get free shit, or if there's a party out there that's promising free things, promising those things that they want. But the great thing that I like to see is that even in the black community, they see, as much as most of the black community was against Trump, they are now saying, you know what, Biden says a lot of nice little things, but he ain't really delivering on any of that shit. But you know what? Trump put money in our pocket back then, and he might have been talking crazy as far as we're concerned, or maybe he wasn't as nice and he was kind of saying whatever he wanted to say, and we weren't used to that. But you know what? We'd rather have that than what we have now, which is a broken economy and a recession. You know what I mean? And so that's where it starts. And you just have to get out there in the streets and start promoting that idea and letting them see there's an alternative view.
Well, a lot of black people keep telling me, well, it's the left and the right. They're both fucked up and da 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 da. And Trump is an asshole, and so is Biden. And it's like, Okay, I mean, I understand what you're saying. I mean, I didn't really like Trump's personality either.
Me neither.
But he
I
was
turned him
funny.
off every time he came on TV. I turned his ass off.
I mean, sometimes I mean, I don't know. Like sometimes he comes across to me like he actually is more human and he relates more to people. I don't know, like he has a human side to him as well. And yeah, he has a side to him that's like kind of like asshole-ish or whatever, or he'll just say anything. He's got that pride. I mean, that like I guess it's just like a typical thing for males. I don't know.
It's a
like,
typical thing for rich elitist type.
Well,
That's
no,
what
I mean,
threw that. You know, his whole thing to me, the way he came across was he was like, this is what's going to happen. I'm not going to listen to my commanders in the field. This is what it is. This is what I believe. And that's just how it is. I'm not listening to the health officials. I'm not listening to the military officials. But at the end of the day, this is the thing. And all of that stuff just used to turn me off. But at the end of the day, that fool was right about so many things.
That's what I'm saying.
He turned out to be correct. And he just didn't know how to communicate it. Maybe he wasn't the best communicator. Maybe he was a little rough around the edges, kind of like an old grandpa or that crazy uncle at the bar that used to talk ears off or whatever.
He had a dad like that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, his dad was very militant. So, you know what I mean? And that kind of rubs off on you. I had a dad that's very militant and and a lot of people say to me, you're too militant. You're just a mean ass bitch and all that. I'm like, yeah, I'm just saying, like Trump got the shit done though, and
that's what I'm saying.
You know, he wasn't. I don't know. I kind of think that's a good quality.
Yeah. See, this is the thing I'm trying to say. The black community, like all of these things I'm watching all the time, these little interviews in the street. And the thing that it seems like that the black people are able to overcome faster than it seems like the white folks, and this may be just a cultural thing. I'm not trying to make it a white black thing, but a cultural thing. It seems like to me, and especially from what I know about black culture, is that you're always raised around that kind of shit about people who say things all fucked up. But as long as they're putting a roof over your head and got your electricity on and got your lights and got your bills paid and fucking taking care of your ass, mama's the damn god. I don't care how fucked up her language is sometimes or how ruthless she can be. Guess what? I if it wasn't for my mom being that strong person, I wouldn't be here today as a strong black man today.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it seems like the black community is more forgiving of that rough talk than the white community. Because the white community, when they talk to them,
I guess we're just kind of more immune to it, I would say, because I mean, our parents and stuff, we had it rough. Like we get beat with fan belts and everything else, but I'm not saying that's right.
Hey.
But you know that saying, I brought your ass into this world, I take your ass out this motherfucker.
Right out.
Like, oh, okay.
Roll your eyes at me, motherfucker. I'll roll your head down the hall.
I know, right? Well, I mean, we could tone that down a little bit, you know, but at the same time, I wouldn't be as passive as some white people, and that's not to be racist, but
right. It's culture. Let's face it. There is cultural differences.
You have some people that tell their kids time out, and that kid ain't even listening. If I told any one of my kids time out, that would never fucking work.
It'll never fly, will it? That shit'll never fly. Right.
I have to turn into the Hulk and let them know that, you know, I have superpowers and I can fuck you up if you don't listen. So they'll listen.
I know exactly what you mean. I got in trouble with my ex when I used to get too hard on the kids, because it's like, look, this timeout stuff, all this kind of crap ain't gonna work, and I'm just gonna be ruthless and just put my foot down real hard on them, and it's you know, it's kind of, to someone who's not used to that, it kind of seems a bit abusive or whatever, but I made sure I was never abusive. I just made sure I was strict, and my yes mean yes, my no mean no. And you speak with authority, and you know, but I don't know. it's
I wouldn't
cultural
even,
differences, man.
yeah, it is, but I wouldn't even say that all white people are like that, because like it depends on, you know what I'm saying? Like you come out here to Texas, Texans don't play. Like a lot of Texans are very similar to how, you know, black people are when it
Hey,
comes to that. So I
my
don't
dad
know.
put the belt in my behind many days.
Right, right. I think it's
My
just
granddad made me go pick these branches off a tree,
right.
and I couldn't come back unless it was long enough. I tried to come back with these little short ones to kind of mitigate the punishment.
I
It's like,
think it's just I think it's just our time, you know, with the times then, you know, it was
it's
like
that
that.
subculture, man.
I wouldn't even say that. I mean, it's just that this was the times then. I mean, you can
Mm-hmm,
talk to so
mm-hmm,
many people that are around our age group. I know I'm a little younger than you, but just like around our age group. And so
mm-hmm,
many people will tell you the same shit. You know, even in Germany, people were way rougher back then, because my foster
mm.
mother, she said her dad was so damn cruel that they were so afraid of him that she smoked one time. She was sneaking and she heard her dad come up the stairs. And she said she
Mm-mm.
was so afraid of him that she put that cigarette out in her freaking hand. So,
Damn.
you know, back in the day, people were just tougher, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Rough
yeah,
around
yeah.
the edges. And
That's
so I think
so
that's just
true.
I think that's a general thing, you know, not necessarily a racial thing, you know.
Correct. Well, look, we're getting way off the subject, so I'm
I
going to
know,
go
right?
ahead and swing us back in the right direction. Let's keep on. This one part is about why is corporate media pushing trans kids so hard. So there's going to be a little ad,
And if you knew someone who
and then I'm
was, it
going
was a
to
thing.
skip through it real
But now
quick.
you have this like corporate media push
It's Console Plus' biggest clearance event of the year, where you can save up to 70%.
of kids transitioning. You have Joe Biden supporting it and not even retracting it after the FDA says, you know, the recent statement about brain swelling and vision loss in children. And it's kind of like, what is the reason why it's so coordinated? I'm sorry, that's like a vague question, but
No.
who's doing this?
Right. It seems like it happened out of nowhere. It feels like overnight. So you can obviously tell it's not natural. It's definitely coordinated from multiple sources. I think that Big Pharma is probably a huge player in this, because in the documentary "What Is a Woman," Scott Nugent was saying how, you know, every kid that they get on these puberty blockers and get to go through with these surgeries. I don't like to call them surgeries. I think they're mutilation. They're mutilating kids. But they have, I think they're going to be like patients for life, and they're going to be on medication for life. They're going to have lifelong complications. And so they see huge dollar signs on top of all these vulnerable and impressionable kids. So I think that's it. I also think that just having, I mean, you can see like millennials in general were kind of the most damaged generation. We just, you know, they grew up with a lot of crazy stuff happening, and they seem to be very easy to control now. Like, I'm a millennial. I think you're a millennial.
Yeah.
But I think that they're just doubling down. They see the effects of that. And so the government wants to double down and make this generation of really compliant, confused people that will ultimately just do whatever they say without looking into it for themselves. Because if any of these parents and, you know, these teens were able to look into things for themselves, or just be shown the truth about the effects of all of this stuff, I don't think they would go through with it. So it's frightening to see this coordinated effort to attack these kids and force them into believing that there's something they're not. And it wouldn't be such a big deal if the medical complications weren't there.
Yeah.
If they have, you know, socially transitioning is one thing. I think it's all very confusing for them. Childhood and adolescence is already extremely confusing for anybody going through it, and to add on to it is just, I mean, depression and anxiety skyrockets as a result. But, you know, beyond that, like, we are actually playing with their lives. They're being used as lab rats in this experiment and it's going to leave them with lifelong trauma and hopefully nothing else. But, you know, if they go through if they start becoming medicalized, like, it will affect them.
Yeah, see, I don't trust any sort of anytime there's a lot of money involved in stuff, I have to question it. Like, even my news sources, like, I don't trust everything Fox News is going to tell me. Come on, get real. I'm not going to trust everything CNN tells me, MSNBC. None of these corporate sponsored people am I necessarily going to trust everything they say, because I understand that there's money behind it. The same thing with Big Pharma. Obviously, these people stand to make a lot of money with their product. Their product
Yeah,
is what's first.
but once again, I don't think anybody does that except for the far left. Nobody just
Mhm.
takes everything at face value
Mhm.
except them.
Yeah. I mean, it's arguable. I mean, I've seen things that turned out to be false with the far left. Well, I mean, the far right, what have you. And a lot of people were dead set on it and eventually had to change their mind only after it's been admitted that they were wrong or whatever, because
Well,
they had to.
that's the
That's just the
far
nature. Yeah, that's
well
the nature of far
that's the
right.
yeah, that's the far right, but we're conservatives, and we're not
That's what I'm
on the
saying.
far right,
That's
and
exactly it. That's what I'm saying. Is that
I'm kind of tired of that, hearing that shit, because
yep.
they constantly downing conservatives as if we were racist terrorists on the far right, and that's just not damn true.
Yeah. See, that's why we have this channel. We're gonna promote conservatism, and with my examples and yours, it's always going to exemplify that we can disagree with the far right and the far left in a lot of different things. Like, we're open-minded people, but at the end of the day, conservative principles win out every time, you know. And I don't trust, there's a lot of sources I don't trust. Even the FBI, I don't trust the FBI. They come out with information. I mean, they've been shown to be like a terrorist organization in many ways. All kinds of government, IRS, all kinds of things. They all have agendas, and departments that
Yeah,
have agendas, and it's just, you just have to be skeptical.
but see,
That's the whole thing.
that's what conservatism is also about. It's
Mm-hmm.
about less government, from my understanding.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people will say, "No, that ain't true. That's just conservatives pretending." But I'm like, no, that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
From what I understand, conservatism is about less government,
Mm-hmm.
because
That's
it's
what it
about,
is.
yeah, I mean, of course it is, because how do you do free market with complete government control? You couldn't.
Mm-mm.
You
Not at all.
you wouldn't have the freedom to have your own business or anything like that, like if it's all government control.
Exactly. So here's a part where she's going to talk about why parents are so quick to medicalize children for behavior issues. So let's
Yeah,
check
I've
that
seen
out.
that. That's really
Mhm.
interesting.
And the trans stuff. I mean, you have all these kids who, this is going to be controversial. I don't care. I say it's controversial all the time, but kids who exhibit maybe like some bad behavior because they're not in a great home life, and
Right.
suddenly they're put on all these medications. They're put on medications for, they're put on Ritalin, and they're put on anti-anxiety medications and antidepressant medications, when in reality, like, sometimes it's very much external things that are making them feel this way. I was one of those kids. I was a kid who
Right.
grew up in not a great family life, and my mother put me on medication at a very young age, thinking, well, oh, he has depression. He backed that, obviously. He has depression.
Yeah.
So obviously we need to put him on medication. And I'm this like 8-year-old little boy.
What is a woman? Can you tell me that?
No, I
And it's
can't.
like, maybe
I have no idea.
my family should
I have
have
no
gotten their
idea
shit
anymore.
together and provided a better home life for me. I wouldn't have been depressed about all the turmoil and stuff going on in my household. So the medicalization of children is something that's been ramping up, but this is even more permanent. So it's like, I was put on, depression medication at 8, but once I got a little older and I was like, screw that, I'm not taking that ever again. But like these kids that are, on puberty blockers and hormones at a young age, they're always on them.
Yeah, you can bounce back from antidepressants. It might
Right.
take a while for your body to normalize and regulate itself again. But yeah, I mean, the Lupron is one of the most used puberty blockers, and it's known to be, I mean, it's been used, I think it's still used to chemically castrate sex offenders.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that we're putting, and also so many women have commented on our posts when we talked about Lupron, saying that they've been on it for endometriosis, and it has completely ravaged their bodies. Like, and they've been off it, and they're still having these complications years down the road. And to think that this is being put into children's bodies that are still forming, their brains are still forming, their bones are still forming. It's notorious. Shapeshifter, I think, was talking about how he has osteoporosis, right? After being on these medications.
Right.
As an adult, even.
As an adult, yeah.
Not super young. Like, there was this documentary on HBO a few years ago called Transhood, I believe it is.
Oh my God, that one was so insane.
Yeah. And like, they're showing this little girl that is, you know, his mom's, it's a lesbian couple, not representative of all lesbian couples, but yeah, they were putting him on Lupron, and he was 12, I think. Sorry, looks like a little boy, really does, but it's a girl.
Y'all can't even get it straight. I'm just kidding.
It's too damn confusing, shit.
Hey, there is something I want to say though.
Who can keep
So
up with all that?
looking at this transgender on the right, you know, so this was a used to be a male or a boy.
You talk about Blair White?
Yeah. So this kind of could freak you out. Let's say you're a single guy, you go to a bar, you go to meet somebody like that, and this person, like, I don't want to hook up or have any sort of intimate relations with a woman that used to be a male or whatever that is, man. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, so that's scary. And so in a way, I think it's kind of good that we know who they are, who they were, or what they are. Like, I'm a transgender man or a transgender woman. Then I know to stay away from that person. Like, I don't mean that in a mean way. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to be tricked.
The thing about
You know
it
what I'm
is,
saying?
it's everybody has a right to their own personal preference. First of all, I'd be quick to cuss, so let me try not to cuss because the shit makes me mad. Because a lot of transgenders will get out there and say that if you don't choose as a straight man to date a transgender woman, then you're transphobic. Okay, then I'm transphobic then. You know what I'm saying? Because a man is naturally attracted to a female for a reason, you know, biologically speaking and generally speaking. A man is attracted to a woman because she can reproduce and bear his child most of the time. You know what I'm saying? That's like innately in you. So even if she looks as much as a woman as Blair White does, because I'm telling you, Blair White is so feminine, she's more feminine than me. At least appears that way, because they have to hyper focus on that femininity part as to not be mistaken for a male. So they're going to be coming off even more feminine. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
But
I'm just saying that, you know, if I'm halfway drunk in a bar somewhere and I don't recognize them as,
no, you don't
you
want to
know,
be tricked. That's actually a form of rape for a male.
that's what I'm saying. Hey, we've got a Angelo in the backstage who wants to join us on a conversation. Want me to bring him in?
Sure.
Angelo, what's up, my man?
What's up, dude?
What are you doing, buddy?
Just hanging out.
Cool.
Shelly's practicing some songs.
Okay,
What are you doing here?
So we're having a conversation, man. This is Sophia. She's my
Hi,
co-host. Angelo is my sister's boyfriend. They do music together. He's a guitar player, and he's in town. So they're in town, and he wanted to join the show. So, so here we all are as a happy family.
Yeah.
I'm not part of the family. I'm not related to you. No,
come on, man. You're part of the fam. So we're just talking about, I don't know if you've been watching, but we're talking about gays against groomers and kind of reacting to this video and having little side convos. They get way off track, but what do you think, man?
I pay a lot of attention to the current events. I mean, I have a gay uncle, and he's great. He used to take me to the beach, not a creep or groomer type person, but I definitely think there is that shit going on out there. I think there's some subset of people that, I mean, all kinds of political affiliations want to convert people. So I'm not saying that, definitely not saying all LGBTQ type people want to groom people, but to deny that
Right.
there's probably some people out there, just like how there's extremists of any kind trying to recruit, I'm sure that's probably out there. I don't think it's probably anything mainstream though.
Right. Right. Yeah, it's probably a minority, a loud
Well, can
minority,
I
but
say
a minority.
can I say something about that?
Mm-hmm.
I agree that you got predators anywhere and everywhere, not just in the LGBT community, but unfortunately, I do have to say that these so-called activists that so-called represent this LGBT community, they do have a lot of pull right now, and more so than anybody, to be honest. So it's not that I'm trying to call out people who are gay or straight or whatever or bisexual. It's just that these, like I said, these radical trans activists, they're making things happen. I mean, they're changing laws. You can get fined in certain countries like Canada or go to jail, and they're trying to do this here too, so it's like, okay, we got to do something about this because it's just not right. And it's just
We
not
having a
right.
conversation, right? It's at least the good part is we're not like that, and we can now at least have the conversation, and we kind of mitigate it and keep it out in the open that there are alternative views. So that's the whole point about this whole thing. I just wanted to say hello also to Atheist Enlightenment. Shout outs to you. He joined the show. He says, how are you doing at Conservative Principles with Scott and Sophia? Hope you all are well tonight. So we're gaining a little crowd. So we're going to go ahead and continue on with the video so we can keep on watching this. And we're talking right now about the dangers of puberty blockers and things of that nature that are involved in this whole trans topic and issue.
PETA stands for People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals. I'm huge on that. In fact, there's like certain
These ads.
Ugh, who does that? Get everyone's favorites delivered free. Walmart Plus.
types of meat I don't even like to eat because I just feel bad for the animal. Like I'm very like pro animal, but I don't support PETA. Does that mean I don't like animals? No.
Right.
So people just need to see through, like, language is so powerful. In the same way that there's going to be people arguing that we're not in a recession because they redefined it. It's like insane.
So many NPCs walking around now. They'll just be like, one person with a bit of authority will say this is gender affirming care, and then millions of drones, gender affirming care. Yes, good for children.
But have you noticed how I haven't seen anyone really on the left responding to the FDA coming out and saying, all these new complications are likely.
Oh, it was the FDA
blockers.
Okay.
I haven't seen anyone call it out really.
And you were saying that earlier about Rachel Levine and Joe Biden himself, how, they push this and then new information, trust the science, they say.
Right.
New information is coming out and they don't speak about it. They don't walk their claims back. They don't apologize for getting it wrong. They double down. And it's true evil. Like their intentions
It is evil.
Yeah, their intentions are to hurt children. Because, if you actually want to trust the science and, be truthful and actually help kids, like you would tell them straight up immediately, like all the gender clinics for youth will be shut down immediately. This would be taken off the market for kids, but it's not. It's just more and more gender clinics open, more voices of authority and organizations get behind it, saying it's safe, tested, so it's really sad. And people come out against us saying that we're the ones that are hurting children, and by denying them, by saying they shouldn't have access to this. It's just backwards.
I wanted to get into that because obviously Gays Against Groomers gets a ton of heat on social media. I've seen people tweet about how it's secretly ran by a straight white male, which honestly, even if it was, I wouldn't be mad. It's still a great message, but it's clearly not. You're here and you're not a straight white male, at least to my knowledge. Let me not assume. But what are some of the arguments they really launch against you? Because the fact that anyone can really fix their mouth to be like, I'm against this group that's also against groomers is like,
I know. It's more of a self-admission on their part, I think.
Right.
the fact that anybody would come out against us, it's like it tells them a lot more about them than us, I think. So I've never seen so many groomers openly out themselves as they have when trying to, attack us. It's interesting hill to die on. But yeah, so we have had a bunch of hit pieces written about us so far in the short time that we have existed. They like to say that we're an anti-LGBTQ hate group. So that's the main one.
That is so damn dumb.
We're
like how I don't. That's the part I don't understand. How do you get that from that?
This lady is a full-blown lesbian, and then you have a full-blown transgender sitting right there. Like, what the fuck?
Right. Like, no one's against, like, none of these people are against being identifying as a man or woman. Gender is obviously a construct like race and everything else. We all agree with that, right? But it's almost like
no.
See, they don't. Well, see, this is what I'm going to say. On one side of their mouth, they say they agree with that, but on the other side of their mouth, it's an objective fact.
No, I see what you're saying, but can I interject real quick?
Yeah, sure.
Like, here's the thing: gender has always been related to sex. That's proven. That's scientifically proven. Now, the stereotypes, that's the thing that we're talking about. Not just because you're a woman, that doesn't mean you have to be 100% feminine. Just because you're a man, that doesn't mean you have to be 100% masculine. You could be a feminine man. You could be a masculine woman. A lot of people would say that I'm a masculine woman, but that's different. That's stereotypes. And so where they contradict themselves is, transgender women, they want to be, or they think they're women, right? And then they want to fit into this stereotype, and it's okay for them. So how does that make sense?
No, I mean, I understand the whole thing is kind of like going through this rabbit trail, because that makes the whole women's right stuff kind of meaningless, because then it's like, well, what's a woman? It's like, well, if someone born a male decides for whatever reason, maybe gender dysphoria or some other, legitimate condition, uses the transition as a way to deal with it or whatever. So now they're a woman. So now they can sort of adopt all the women's issues on themselves. Like, their whole history and heritage has now changed. It's almost like me. Suppose I was trans black.
Yeah, but that's
and
not
I turn
true.
around and say, right, it's not true. That's my whole point, is that you can't have it both ways. It's like, I don't know. It's just a play of words. It's like, you can just imagine, if you just imagine that this word now means that, then that means I'm that. It's like you're like defining things into existence.
It just sounds like,
it's like you can't do that.
It sounds like somebody just making up shit as they go along, to be honest.
Right. It's like, I'm like the same things that religions and stuff do. It's like, well, God is this. Hey, I believe in God. God truly exists, because see this coffee cup right here? As far as I'm concerned, this is God. This coffee cup exists. Therefore, my God exists. So it's like, you just define something in existence. You just defined it into existence. It doesn't mean anything. It's like you're just playing with words in a way to make yourself right, And I'm not saying that gender dysphoria isn't a thing. I mean, it obviously must be, but it's a subjective thing.
It's a very small minority of people.
And a minority, right.
1% of people who actually experience this. And so the problem is, everybody, like, people who claim that they have this, they get affirmed so easily, it's ridiculous. But because they suffer from depression, or they suffer from anxiety, but anxiety is not only caused by dysphoria. Depression is not only caused by dysphoria. There's many different reasons why you can have depression, or why you can have any kind of fucking mental illness,
abuse, and all that. Yeah.
Right. So with that being said, they're not even trying to, figure out, is this person really trans? You know what I'm saying?
Right,
they don't give a shit. Is this person really experiencing?
And yet now you're obligated. Now you, as an outsider who doesn't know anything about this person's situation, are now obligated to use language a certain way.
Yeah.
which goes against a freedom of speech principle. And that's where I'm kind of like pushing back, because I feel like it's just a freedom of speech thing.
Yeah,
You
but it
know?
actually hurts the LGBT community because
Mm-hmm.
the LGBT community has had their own fight and to
Mm.
get their rights. Just like this fake ass racism hurts the Black community because we actually had real racism and we fought hard against that. At least my forefathers did, you know.
Mhm.
And with that being said, you're not making it better on the community when now all of a sudden everything reverts back to racism and nothing's changed and it's still bad, and like nobody sees the progress that's been made, and these people just come in, hijack it, take it over, and make it seem like there has been no progress at all.
Correct. All right, well, let's continue on. There's another part to this too, the toxicity of woke teachers. I didn't see this part when I was looking through this, but interested to see what they're going to talk about here. Hold on a second.
Crazy.
They're
Communities teach-
insane.
Like, why do these adults need valid?
You could go to Grainger.com to find what you need to get the job done. Grainger, supplies and solutions for every industry.
Hungry for something melty? Try Marie
Damn,
Callender's
Sophia, why you
creamy
keep
Vermont
bringing these
mac and cheese
ads?
bowl. Ready in
Yeah,
7
right.
minutes.
Blame it on me.
Yeah.
From children about their sexuality and their gender.
Well, this is something I believe for a long time. That's another one of those, statements I'm going to make that people are probably going to misconstrue and be mad at me for. And this is not all teachers, but something I've noticed even when I was like younger, like as a kid, I would notice like a lot of these teachers in middle school and high school seem like mentally stunted to some degree, in the sense that a lot of them, like the reason they chose to work in a school, not all of them, but some of them, is because they never kind of left that like school mindset. Like a lot of them are kind of childlike in their behavior and their outlook on life. And you would see them like have like friendships with the kids and get involved in the kids' drama in high school and stuff. And it's like a lot of these teachers never really left the high school mentality, especially like I come from a really small town, and a lot of the teachers there like never left the hometown. And it's like they went to that school and then they got old enough and just became a teacher at the school. And they never left the like culture of being in school. A lot of them are just kind of childlike.
Yeah, I think you're right with that. It's just bizarre.
Yeah.
Adults don't want to talk about anything like this with kids, let alone need validation from them to confirm to them that it's okay that you're this way. I don't know. The whole thing is just unnecessary. It just adds to the confusion that kids are already dealing with every single day. It's just scary. Like, I don't have kids and I'm scared. I mean, part of me wants to have kids and part of me is just like, this is insane. I'm so scared for them, but
I feel you. How do you respond? Oh, sorry. Keep going.
But no, I'm sorry. I think in the end, like, obviously we're going to win this battle. I think that their voices, it's so sad that this is happening to them at all, but they are going to come out, and I think they are going to be the ones also to put an end to it. And I'm hoping that we can help put an end to it before that happens. And it has to be ended.
Well, one of the great things about kids is it's a double-sided sword, but they tend to rebel. And I think that like having all this stuff forced down their throat with such an intensity, I can only imagine that as I get older, they're going to be like, wow, like for lack of like not putting it in the most eloquent terms, it's going to be kind of like, fuck that gay shit. Like, this is too much. Like, I feel like it's going to be the opposite. Right. But then you have the problem because humans are just can never get it right. I feel like it's going to be a pendulum effect where like the next generation becomes actually homophobic. And it's like, well, maybe if you just raise these kids to understand there are people different than them and you're not to love them or hate them simply by virtue of being different, then everything's going to work out. But of course, we can never go that way.
No.
How do you respond to the criticism that I've seen, not just you guys get, but obviously the term groomer is like who knows if I can even put that in the YouTube title at this point. The word groomer has been banned on Reddit. It's been banned on Twitter. People are getting suspended for talking about it. And it's a whole discourse, right? Even aside from you guys' amazing movement. How do you feel about the fact that the other side seems to think, or at least they're saying that they believe that people are making it out to be that all gay, lesbian, bisexual, or trans people are groomers? And this is a slur now for just regular gay people.
Yeah. I think that gay people are being associated with groomers, not because people are calling gay people groomers, but because of the grooming behavior they see coming from the community. And yeah, a lot of people, even on the right, don't want to use the word groomer. They think it's like it's not good to just group everybody in with that word. And obviously it's not a good thing to just assume everybody in the community is a groomer, because that's not true.
Right.
But I think that the word is completely appropriate. It perfectly and accurately describes the behavior that we're seeing happening. So I and Gays Against Groomers are against that word being labeled and banned as an anti-LGBTQ slur. None of us have ever been called groomers. I'm sure you've never been called a groomer. So I think if people want to stop being called groomers, they should probably stop grooming children. We see it as a really fix. It's not that complicated. We don't have that problem. And I think that by them labeling it, the word groomer as an anti-LGBTQ slur, it only reinforces the idea. Like, it only paints us more as that. And I think it's a negative effect. It shouldn't be banned at all. Obviously, I don't think anything should be banned because I'm basically a free speech radicalist. But I think it's having the opposite effect. And I think they know that. They just don't care. They're just trying to, they don't care about any minority group. They're just trying to push their agenda. So they're our community. They're latching onto our community and using us kind of as a prop to do so. And we never consented to that. Nobody asked us how we felt about that. So we really resent it, and we want to make it very known before we all are truly associated with these radicals in our community and that speak on behalf of us. We want to make it very clear that the vast majority of gay people and everybody in the LGBT community are actually disgusted by this too. And we don't want anything to do with them.
To me, it seems like the simplest thing in the world to condemn this sort of behavior. To me, it's not like such a stretch.
At truly grass-fed, our cows eat the best food there is.
Damn,
because that's
Angelo,
what they give us in return.
You keep sending me these ads. Why?
It's not such a headache. Like, it's the simplest thing. Like, oh yeah, that's wrong. That's messed up. And for some reason, it's like, it's just so impossible for, a lot of people in the community. And to me, the part that I don't get is that people don't understand that when you ban the word groomer, who are you really protecting? Because I personally believe, just like you said, y'all have never been called groomers. I've never been called that. And bitch, I've been called like everything. Not calling you bitch. I'm just saying bitch in general. That's how I talk. I've been called everything. So if you're getting called a groomer, there might be an issue with your behavior. There might be an issue with what you're supporting and are doing. Like, I feel you are what you answer to. Like, and if it doesn't apply, then it doesn't apply.
Like, you get mad,
the word groomer,
right?
We're not groomers.
Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, it seems like you're just giving the real groomers a way to sneak in under the radar.
Exactly, by banning the whole word. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, then they can turn around and say, how dare you call me a groomer? How dare you call me a pedophile?
Right, now you can't even call out the real groomers anymore. It's the same tactic, though, with all these minorities groups. It's the same with racism. You can't even call out real racism now because everything's racist.
Yeah. What if they ban racist? What if the far right was to try to ban the word racist? Wouldn't the left turn around and say, oh, that's just because you're trying to get away with racism? I mean, if that's true, which I think it would be true, then to be consistent and logical, then it goes both ways. So I don't know. It seems kind of silly to me.
Just imagine the type of side effects that people have from these surgeries, right? These transgender surgeries. Imagine those type of side effects, those extreme type of side effects from any other doctor that performs any other surgery. Like, for example, I had my gallbladder removed years ago. If I had reoccurring infections and would have to get like 5-6 more surgeries and all that, I'm telling you, 9 times out of 10, doctors like that would be sued for malpractice, right?
Of course. Anything else?
Anything else, any other doctor, anybody else would botch shit up like that, it would be a scandal everywhere. But when it comes to transgenders, it's okay. Somehow it doesn't matter. So that just makes me think, like, honestly, I would say I care more about the trans community than a lot of them do themselves,
That's
because
why these far left
they're be
groups always end up shooting themselves in the foot. Like, this is where the PC thing, remember, it used to be the politically correct movement 5 years
yeah.
ago when it started really kicking in. Being politically correct was their whole thing. And now that's where it kind of backfires. Now, even the whole cancel culture is
Yeah, but
backfiring because, you know,
they're
it
they are exploiting vulnerable people is what they're doing. And for all I know, they're using these people as guinea pigs to experiment on them to achieve some other kind of goal. Who knows? Like with the whole thing about men being able to get pregnant and actually implanting uteruses into males, knowing that they're going to die from infection, but they don't care. I mean, it's like they're using these people to experiment on them, like literally.
sick, man.
It's
Sick
sick. It
stuff.
is.
Yeah, it is.
Then you need to look in the mirror and why do you feel that way? Why do you feel they're attacking you by just saying groomer? You know, if you're not doing anything shady or promoting anything like that, the grooming of children, then you should have no problem with it, and you should want to call it out too to stop it.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously that's not the case. And in regards to what you said about you know, this should be a really easy thing to come out against. I think that our whole country and just society is so used to fighting about everything.
Yeah.
Like that it has people really defending some truly messed up stuff. And yeah, it's scary.
Yeah. And it seems to me that if you ban the word groomer, you're only protecting pedophiles.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Well, apparently now, yeah, big tech is protecting them. As I mean, they're a protected class of people now, and the people trying to meanwhile the children that are actually being hurt by the groomers are just free game, and they're encouraged to be around them. It's just like you said, everything is so backwards. Yeah, it's crazy. Every day we're like, how is this even a battle that we need to be having right now?
It seems to me like, and I've said this for years, and I've always gotten backlash until very recently. Now people are kind of coming around to this idea that the left is literally forcing anti-pedophilia to be a right-wing virtue. And I think that's so wrong. I think that's so twisted. I feel like, where are we really as a society if we can't unite around that very basic fundamental, like, yes, this is wrong. It's just like being able to say, yes, murder is wrong.
Right.
It should be the same thing. And I don't think this is really what they want, but again, they're just so used to doubling down that they don't even know what they're doing. Or do they know what they're doing? Maybe I'm giving too much a benefit of the doubt. Maybe it's just like a bunch of sick people, and maybe like much more, a much larger percentage of our population are literally.
Yeah, that's a scary thought, to think that, like, I always try to be charitable with people's arguments, and people, like, I don't try to assume things into people's intentions, because then when you do that, you're kind of using your imagination to build a case against somebody, which is always probably going to end up wrong. But sometimes you got to wonder, though. Like, especially when the outcome is so obvious, it's like,
how do you still stand for this unless you are a really twisted fucking person? I mean, what else can you say about it, man?
You know, it's like when you were watching that whole conversation with me and this guy on the Fight on the Fence or wherever we were, and you see how hard they fight against the whole thing, and it's like, dude, it's not even that deep. We should agree, you know, that certain things are just wrong, man. And we should try to question it. I mean, I've just got a lot of questions. Like, at that point in the conversation, it was just a question, if you remember. And just the question itself, he was saying I was a bigot, and I was, you know, I hate gay people. And he told me I was probably gay, and that I need to come out of the closet because I'm fighting too hard against I'm like, I'm not fighting against anything. Like, I don't care if you're gay. Like, I'm not scared of anything. I'm not a phobe of anything. Right?
They always
Except
say that
heights.
shit.
They play that card, man, and I get really, it's almost like it's like gaslighting you. It's like such a narcissistic behavior where they just want to shut you down. Like you have no right.
Yeah,
to
it doesn't
question.
fucking matter. And it's the same towards females, you know, like we're TERFs. I didn't even know what the hell that meant. What the hell is a TERF? And all of a sudden, I can't call myself a woman. I have to describe myself as a cisgender woman. All of a sudden, I can't describe myself as a mother. I have to say parent, or I can't be what is it? Pregnant anymore? No, pregnant woman. I'm a pregnant person, and all this other shit.
Yeah.
Do you not see how what you're doing is actually taking away rights from others, and you think that's okay? So you got to lift yourself up by putting other people down? I don't fucking think so. Because first of all, you're a trans woman. You didn't fight the fight women fought. All right, you got a whole different fight going on. So how are you just gonna come in here and fucking hijack the shit that we had to do and claim it as your own, just like you snatching our fucking trophies? Hell to the no. Like, no.
Like, you know, it's just so, I don't know. And you know, and I've always, you know, said, like, me and my dad were talking about it last night, man, and I was just telling him, well, maybe I'm just getting old, man. Maybe I just don't understand a lot of shit because I'm just old. But he was saying, look, man, don't say that. That's what he was telling me. Don't say that because you are still logical and you're making sense. Don't let people make you feel like you ain't making sense, because if they have a bunch of contradictions, age ain't got nothing to do with it.
Yeah, what got old got to do with it? If anything, when you're older, you become wiser. Like, we should all listen to our elders. I mean, unless that your elders a crackhead or some shit, you know. But I mean, generally speaking, I mean, we should listen to the elderly and the wiser people. I mean, that's what I always did all my life, and I still look up to older people that have more wisdom than me. The younger generation does not have more wisdom. That's ass backwards.
You can't read in a book what you can learn from experience. That's for damn sure.
Right.
You know. But anyways, let me see if we can go into why many LGBT people are uncomfortable with something. Let's find out.
Even before they started going after kids. But now that, you know.
Yeah, what is that?
Thanks, Scott. You just know how to get to the right spot.
Right.
Of a smooth, clean shave.
I get right to the ad part.
Its blades conform perfectly.
Like, what is that? I've never understood that, and I know that you know, being trans is very different than being gay, and you know, gay is a sexual orientation, trans is not, and so maybe that's part of the disconnect here. But like, I don't understand why it's so sexual on the streets and why that's such a thing within, like, almost more so with gays than lesbians. I don't ever see lesbians doing half of that shit. Like, you know, there's videos of like old men twerking in like thongs in front of little kids that go viral. And it's like, why is that a thing? And who is that helping?
Yeah. As a lesbian, you're right. I don't really know. I've never understood it. You know, there's a big difference between lesbians and gay men, and I'm not bashing gay men. I just truly don't understand that culture. But a lot of people are, you know, there's a lot of gay people that are monogamous and live a great life just like anybody else, you know, with their partner. But you know, we never see that aspect of things because people like me and everyone else that lives that way, we're just at home minding our business. You know, we don't want to push anything on anybody. We just want to be left alone and leave everybody else alone. Just live our lives like everyone else. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the obsession is with fetish stuff and kink at Pride Fest. I thought that, you know, it originally was just about being able to love who you love, who you want in public, you know, and being able to show that and being able to be respected, like, and have the rights that every other citizen does. So somewhere along the way, you know, people don't know what to fight. There's nothing left to fight for. So it's just.
That's exactly what I was thinking, is that right now, nobody cares if you're gay or what you are no more. Nobody cares. Like, I was in the hospital today. I saw a gay couple holding hands and kissing, and nobody cared.
There's only
like,
one
what
thing,
are they fighting about?
There's only one thing left that they could be fighting for, and that's called degeneracy, and to try to hurt kids, like they said. Like, that's the last little degenerate fucking thing they could still do. It's
Mhm.
like that's all that's left. So at this point, you're looking at the downfall of a society, like straight up.
Really, for
You
real.
know,
It's like, Jesus, man. It's like, you know what? I'm all about conservative principles. I'm all about freedom. I'm about live and let live. Don't get the government to stop people from living their life. I'm all for it. And that's why I've always been for people to live however they want without having to worry about someone calling the police on them or calling big government to come protect your feelings because it hurts you when you see whatever it is. But this is different. Like twerking in front of little kids, um, bringing little kids to these pride parades where there's naked men walking around doing God knows what with them. Like that's not right, man. If I ever saw stuff like that, I don't know, man. Like I
well,
don't even want to talk about that.
I honestly think that most of these people that follow like sheep, you know, and uphold this stuff, I think they're just being manipulated and they're being used because right now they're being given this platform. They have this false illusion that they have some kind of power now and they get to flaunt it in front of everybody. So they're just being made feel special right now. You know what I'm saying? But
Hmm.
at the end of the day, that's going to backfire because this is obviously strategically being done to break down a society. And honestly, it's almost like the country has been infiltrated by foreign entities who don't like us, obviously. And that is the easiest way to break down a society. You just emasculate the men. Target children and attack the kids. I mean, that's just destroying the whole foundation. You know, the very foundation.
Well, you know, this is the thing though, because one of the points I made to one of the guys, I think it's the same guy I was referring to, is I brought up that, you know, this whole issue that we're talking about is not even worth it to be worried about, you know, like as much as you guys like to make it such a big deal. Like I said, this is like way less than a percentage of this country is even trans to begin with. So I don't understand why it has to be so important to regulate our language and everything at that point. I said I think we're at a point where it's not a problem and people pretty much know you go to jail for assaulting anybody for anything, whether they're trans, gay, whatever. You're going to go to jail. If I go out and attack somebody for being gay, my ass going to jail. Okay, so it's already laws in place against abusing gay people and anybody really, trans, whatever, and it's a very small percentage. And then I said, next thing you know, there'll be some people that'll get really vocal about we should be able to identify as dogs, and god damn it, I want you to call me a dog when you see me. And
Well,
what
they
is a
already
dog anyways? They're already doing it. So he was like, oh, that's ridiculous. Now you're just trying to be ridiculous. Like he was saying there, you know how small of a percentage it is of people that identify as animals and stuff like that. I said, it's the same percentage of people who identify out of their gender. It's the same small percentage. He's like, no, it's not. It's like 5% of the population. And so I was like, I don't think so. I went and looked it up and got like 4 or 5 different sources from legitimate sources that he told me to look for. I looked at his sources, and you know what the percentage of trans people are in this country? It's 0.6%. And he was like, you're lying. That's not true. And he looked at it and he's like, yeah, well, I think that source is probably not to be true. I was like, that's the source you gave me. And he's like,
Yeah.
yeah, well, I might be wrong, but it
But
don't
there's
matter. It don't
but
really
the,
matter. He says it really doesn't matter. And I'm like, it does matter. It mattered to you 5 minutes ago. Like,
right. It shows you how fabricated this shit is. It's a
yeah.
manufactured sexual revolution. It's a manufactured sexual revolution is what this is. And the fact is, like you said, it's less than 1%, but here you pumping this shit out into our children's minds in school, media, the news, whatever, and trying to make everybody that way. Like, no, we're not that way. It's a literal mind fuck. It's like a psyop, man. It really.
Yeah. He said it was 6%. And it was actually 0.6%. That's what it was. And yeah, he had it all wrong. He just saw what he wanted to see.
But again, you got to ask yourself, why is this being done? You know, and I believe, it's my opinion, it's to weaken our nation, because that's the same tactic that Democrats use on the Black community. You know what I'm saying? Take the father out of the home, make the mother dependent on government, and emasculating our men and all this other shit, you know, and birth control and Planned Parenthood, anything to regulate or to control the population in the Black community. It's the same, and they have the same MO. You know, it's the same thing they're trying to do globally.
Yeah, it's a house divided against itself will fall. I believe that, and that does weaken a house. That does weaken our nation when we're all divided over so many issues. Like, how many fucking things are we going to be divided about before the whole thing just fucking is done?
Anything they can find. I mean, it's basically like to kill us off, I guess, or to reduce the population or something, or to invade the country. I mean, something along those lines. It's nothing good, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Well, let's finish through this thing.
But we don't have to watch the whole thing. I mean, I told you it's going to be long, and we could.
It is long. We can kind of stop sharing that because I think we've pretty much covered the bases.
Yeah.
I would agree with that because it's that was a good video though. I like the fact again that, you know, we've got people from the community speaking out against the extremist minority parts of it that are the most vocal and the ones that are making the most noise and that are affecting our body politic the way it is, you know. That's really scary.
It is, but I think this is going to make a big impact, like she said, because I mean, how the hell are you going to call the LGBT community or members of the LGBT community, how are you going to call them transphobes and homophobes and whatnot? You know, it's coming directly from the community, so that's commendable that they're standing up. I'm really glad about that.
Yeah, and I'm so glad to because that makes it easier for us to have a conversation and a dialogue and to be skeptical, because it's no longer, you can't any longer say, well, the only reason you're saying that is because you're a bigot. It's the same thing we go through with the race conversation. It's like, I can't say it because you're white, you know. It's like,
and I can't say it because I can't say it because I ain't Black enough. Like, whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just always
you ain't even you don't even know your own history.
It's always going to be something, and I'm like, I ain't trying to hear all that. Look at here, man. Like, no. That shit don't work on me no more.
No. Well, look, I'm gonna get off here. I'm kind of tired, man, to be honest with you.
I can't lie, I am too. But I gotta get these kids together because they gotta get up at 5:30 in the morning. So they're about to wrap it up and go to bed. So I changed my schedule.
All right. Well, at least you'll get a little more rest during the day, hopefully, and we'll continue next week with another conversation. Again, folks, like and subscribe if you like the topics and material. We'll keep coming with it, and please join us. We have a good time.
All right.
So, all right. Peace out, Sophia.
See you next time.
See you next time. You got it.
Bye.
Bye-bye.